want to thank all of you brave people for being open to listening to what I'm doing here. I'm so excited. So it's a bit like trying to take a drink of water from a fire hydrant. So I'm asking for your grace in this time. So yes, my name is Jenny Carter. I'm the my title is lead minister, but I'm the only paid accountable. So I don't know exactly who I'm leading. But I've been here for 4 years. I want to tell you a little bit about the context of where I am. Then I want to describe a little bit about what we're doing. And the piece that doesn't have time to come into the 10-minute part is all the adaptive change work that I've had to do in order to get from where we were 4 years ago to where we are now. So I'll leave that part out, but it's interesting, and it just is a saga in and of itself. So 4 years ago, first of all, I should say Salmon Arm is a resort community which is primarily made up of retired individuals. There are 19,000 people that live here, 60,000 in the metro Salmon Arm area, which is quite delightful to me that we're called a metro area. So that's the context. 4 years ago when I came, there were between 70 to 80 people that would gather on a Sunday. The average age was 82. We had a men's group, a UCW group, and one lay group that would meet on Wednesday mornings to do a book study. And other than that, that was it for program-wise. So I came here to a congregation that in their history have been instrumental in doing social change in this community. They're the ones that started the food bank. This is the congregation that started the In From the Cold program. This is the congregation that started the thrift store that now they have, and all of those things they've given over to the community to run. So they were birthed here, run here, and then given to the community. So that's kind of the historical context of this place. So as I said, 4 years ago, small attendance, not too many programs. So one of the things that became clear is that fully formed Christians were not lining up to come on a Sunday. And so what is it that we're supposed to do? This congregation takes very seriously the notion that they inherited a living tradition and they needed to find a way to pass on that living tradition to the next generation. But here's the question: what happens when that next generation is not here? So we did a lot of work, and they basically said we would like they became very inwardly focused, and they realized that they needed to become focused more out into the community. So it's a matter of shifting the focus from Sunday morning inward out into the community. And so they gave me great license to do that. And so what has emerged, and then I'll say a little bit about all the spheres. We have one community of faith, which is first. That's the big circle. And inside of that big circle are 3 spheres. One is the congregation, one is called the Nexus, and one is called green space. So really the spheres function more like doors, if you want to use a metaphor. They're doors into this space, which we view as community space. And so the Nexus is, we revamped our sanctuary, and we've made it into a performance space. So the Nexus is an intentional reaching out to the performing artists of our area, of which there are many, and providing a performance venue, but more than that, they provide a sense of community, to work hard to build community amongst the performers and with the wider community and with the congregation. And so that's why it's called the Nexus, which is a meeting place. It also provides us with some revenue, although even there, when you're trying to build community, it's all on a sliding scale, right? And so if you have no money, but you need to put on a recital, well, we can make that work for you. So that's actually been very successful, and I call that my neglected child, because it's the one that has, it's doing okay, but I can't neglect it too much longer. And I don't really, but it doesn't get the attention it needs. Of course, there's always the focus of what we do in the congregation, and I've taken that seriously, and so I'll leave that there, but there's lots that goes on there. The green space is an interesting space. for me. It's probably where some of my biggest passion lies. So this was trying to intentionally reach out to the wider community in more specifically spiritual and community building ways. So the congregation gave me 4 priority areas. And those priority areas was intentional reaching out to children, youth, young adults, reaching out to any environmental concerns, anything that was going on around protecting of the environment and all of climate change at work, all of those things. A promotion of wellness across all of the spheres, from emotional wellness, mental, spiritual, physical, all of those things, plus intergenerational relationship building. So those were my priority areas, and then they said, okay, go. And so what it has evolved into is the Green Space partners with individuals and nonprofit groups that are doing good and noble work in all of those areas. And we are forming, it's a loose collective. It's more of a community. It's not a co-op, it's a community. It's a community that gathers and meets on the common ground of our values, which are clearly stated, and that's the primary meeting place. So things like being inclusive, being affirming of the LGBTQ two-spirit community, all of those kinds of things, justice, and community, and all of those things that we hold dear as United Church. That's the basis. That's our meeting space. And so over this last year, we have 14 partners, community partners, that do all of the good and noble work that our congregation would have done in the past, and we help them do their work in the present by, for some of them, it's working with, I work with their boards and help their boards, oftentimes with nonprofits. This will come as a shock. People who are passionate about the work then suddenly find themselves on a board, and that's not necessarily their skill set. So some of those groups have asked me to come in and help with their boards. With all of them, we provide space, and oftentimes that's at no cost, because nonprofits, we want to help them do the work that they need to do in the community and not necessarily worry about raising money to pay rent. And so we provide space at no cost for some, but there is an expectation that they'll support the community somehow. So it's by promoting our events, it's by providing volunteers for the different things that we're doing, in many ways. And this is now evolving, and so we're now figuring out, okay, so what's the next step for that community? So moving 4 years ago from a place that had very few programs, last year we ran 40 programs out of this building. When I came here, we used the building, it's a big building. We have a Christian education wing that was basically a museum piece. And that was used 3% of the week for our AA and Al-Anon groups, basically. And our sanctuary was used 3% of the, well, 8% of the time, I think is the number. Now we are almost at capacity. One of the partner groups in Green Space that we work with is the community radio station, who has as their mission to promote community within Salmon Arm and area. Their mission statement coincides beautifully with what Green Space is trying to do. So they now broadcast out of our building, and we have a lovely, one of the ways that they contribute is they do have some money, so they pay a nominal rent. It's very small. We've renovated 850 square feet so far for their 2 recording studios. So they are, the plan is part of the Sunday service they will broadcast, and it's called First Five at First, which is a long sentence, but it's kind of cool. And this is a message that I would craft in order to be in the wider community for that section. They also have a capability of recording all of the performing artists that come here. Well, the dancers not so much, but any music performing artists, they can broadcast on the radio and promote that community in those kinds of things. And so the other part of that is that we've been very intentional about turning our building into community space. I would say that the theoretical construct in which all of this happens is based on that kind of an eco-commons approach, which is an understanding that there are things that we hold in common as humans, air and water. And so what I'm trying to do here is bring that down into the social level and say that part of the Eco Commons is that space where we can build community, we can do good works together with our neighbors. And this building is beginning to embody that sense of shared space. So over the last year and a half, I even forgot to put how much money we did for the renovations in the sanctuary, but over this last year and a half, we have renovated upstairs the first phase to turn it into a community meeting room. We spent $35,000 on that. There's another $20,000 ready to go for the building of a green space office that the community can use. We've upgraded our kitchen to a commercial kitchen, and that was $25,000. And we're currently renovating our hall to turn it into village. It's going to be called the Village Hall, and that will be community gathering space. Over this last year, this has become the place where the community gathers to have conversations. So we hosted the Green New Deal conversation here. We've hosted conversations around poverty and community gathering of information around poverty. Our next one is going to be about affordable housing. One of the other exciting things that's just has kind of happened just not by accident, by intention, by opening the doors. Because our kitchen is now licensed as a commercial kitchen, we have our sponsored Syrian families, and we're in good relationship with them. One of the women wants to start a catering business, and so she comes and uses our commercial kitchen. And as her business becomes more successful, then we'll work and say, well, how much. How can we help you do that? How can we help you launch that? We have another recent immigrant from Italy who's a pastry chef, same boat, came, she has no money, she needs to access. So it's sort of like a spiritual entrepreneurship thing beginning to emerge with that. So it's all very exciting, and it's amazing to me, the more that we hear, try to give our stuff away, the more that seems to be coming back to us in different ways. And so that's kind of it in the overall description of it. And I know it's been very fast, but yeah, that's where we're at. And it's very exciting, and we're growing. We have an average Sunday attendance now of, in the summer, about 90, and then in the September through June is 120. Like, things are happening here that is interesting to me. Yeah.